Okay, I hope you just finished watching the short film called Lifted about the two aliens and the farmer in the house. If that doesn't sound familiar, then you haven't watched it yet. So go back and look at the lesson, click on the YouTube link, or you can just search on YouTube with the grown-ups' help to find Lifted is the name of the film. It's just a 6-minute long video. So if you haven't watched that yet, stop this and go watch that, then come back to this. Okay. I hope you liked it. I thought it was kind of funny and surprising and interesting. I think I just felt all the feelings. It was interesting. I got a little sad at one part. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to practice finding the main idea. And sometimes we're finding the main idea of something we read. And sometimes and today we're finding the main idea of something we just watched, okay? Because all movies started out as reading. There was a script. Somebody wrote down what they wanted to happen, and the animators made it happen as a movie. But it always started out written down on paper first, okay? So finding the main idea of a movie is the same thing as finding the main idea of a story that you read. So I'm going to shrink myself, and I'm going to pull up my graphic organizer. You don't have to have one of these. I don't think I even gave you one. This is just a lesson I want you to watch. For some reason, it makes me disappear first, and then I can appear. Okay, can you see me? Okay, I'm going to make this bigger. Okay, so, except I can't see me. Hang on. I think you can see me, but I feel funny not being able to see myself. So I'm just going to make it almost full screen. There we go. And I'm going to move me over here. Okay, so on my graphic organizer, you can see I have details. In fact, I have 7 different detail spots, all pointing to one main idea spot. We're going to do the main idea last. I'm going to show you the details that I came up with. Let's see if you kind of thought of the same thing. The first thing I noticed, first of all, details are a small part of the story. It's like one event, one little bitty part, okay? When you're looking at details, you are zooming into a very small piece of the story. The main idea is something different. First, let's do the details or events. The first thing that happened was the young alien flicks some of the toggle switches, those little switches, and the farmer bumps into the walls and ceiling, but he does not wake up. Did you think that was a little funny? I thought it was kind of funny. I'm going to make this slightly bigger so it fits on the lines better. That'll make my brain a little bit happier. You know what? It's not going to fit. That's okay. You can read it, right? Okay, so that's the first thing that happened in the story. Was that what the entire movie was about? Does that one little detail tell us what the whole thing was about? No. Let's keep going. Detail number 2. Okay, the next thing that happened was the alien. Oops. Oh, my dog is tripping over my cord. Poor doggy. Okay, the next thing that happened was the alien became frustrated, right? The young alien, because the examiner, that's the person that's watching him, like sort of like a teacher. It's like he's having a test, right, to see if he knows how to do this stuff. And the examiner, the teacher in charge of the test, I changed tenses here. That's going to kill me. Okay, didn't help. In fact, he didn't even show any emotion, right? He's like nothing. He was a brick wall, a blank wall. Okay? So, when the alien became frustrated, what did he do? The alien flings himself on the control panel, hitting tons of switches. The farmer bounces all over the place. Okay, I'm going to move this up just a little. There we go. Okay. And because Mrs. Brandon has to have things the right way, I'm not going to say became, because I'm not going to switch from the past to the present. I'm going to stay because the examiner doesn't help. That way, I'm always in the present, and I'll explain that to you another day. I just needed to do that for my brain. Okay, so that's the second detail, but is that still what the whole story is about? Does that tell the whole thing? Those are just two little events, two little details, okay? Eventually, the young alien, he finally figures it out, right? Figures out how to get the farmer into the spaceship, okay? And we are very proud, and he's very proud. That's a good moment. He finally figures it out. And then what happens? As soon as he figures it out, he let's make sure I'm clicking. He turns off the tractor beam without closing the hatch. And what happened? So the farmer fell all the way back down. Oh, he was so close. Okay, that was an exciting part of our story. But did that tell the whole thing? Is this little detail what the whole story was about? It was just one small part, okay? Let's see what happened next, okay? The examiner had, stop. Mr. Brandon just delivered my sweet tea, and he wants to be the center of attention. Sorry about that, guys. So the examiner, remember that's kind of the teacher in the situation. The examiner had enough, right? He's like, nope, you can't do this. And so the examiner takes over the controls. I just realized something that I'm going to fix. We're going to learn one day. Today is not that day, but we will learn about why it's important to keep your tenses the same. Mostly the reason is so that Mrs. Brandon doesn't get a headache. Okay, the examiner takes over the controls. He stops the farmer from crashing. Oh my goodness. Crashing to the ground just inches, just barely before he hits the ground. Okay, so he kind of jumps in there and he saves the day. All right. Now, let's see, we're almost at the end. The examiner, now he kind of starts doing some beautiful things, right? The examiner he sets everything in the house back in its place. Back in its rightful place. While the young alien sadly watches. He's crying a little bit. Do you think he's a little embarrassed because he didn't get it right? He couldn't get it no matter how many times he tried, and the examiner had to take over. Ugh, do you think that felt very good? I do not. The young alien was very sad there. That's a sad, big feeling moment in the story. But is that the whole story, or is that just one detail? You seeing the difference? Are you seeing a pattern here? Okay. Last detail. The examiner looks at the little guy over there crying. He thumps him on the head. The examiner lets the young alien launch the spaceship home. And it feels triumphant, right? Like it feels like, oh yes, this is finally a happy ending. He gets to do things right. What happens? When he grabs the controls, the spaceship crashes to the ground on the house. And don't worry, farmer's okay. All that is left is the farmer's bed and a giant hole. Whew. That did not end the way I expected it to. What did y'all think? Were you a little surprised by that ending? I really thought by the end of this movie, I thought there would be one more detail here where the little alien finally figured it out. But did he ever figure it out? So here's my question. Here's my wondering. I'm wondering, did anybody ever really teach this alien how to do this? Or did this little alien just decide one day, you know what? I'm going to take that test. I'm ready. I've got this. And he went into that place and he was like, give me a farmer. I'm going to do it. Give me the controls. And he just started taking it, right? Did he have any help? Was anybody teaching him along the way? What did the examiner always do? The examiner eventually had to save him, right? The examiner had to take over. And he didn't give him any instructions. He didn't talk to him. He didn't pat his back and say, you can do this. No, he just stood there while everything went wrong until things were about to go badly wrong. And then he stopped and he saved the day. But then he felt bad. And so he let him do it. But did he still teach him anything? No. And so what happened? Spaceship crash. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what I think the main idea is. And you may not agree, and that's okay. One of the main idea is a tricky thing. Sometimes it's easier to tell what is not the main idea than to tell what is the main idea. So let's talk about that. Let's do some things. So I'm going to make a little text box. Actually, there already is a text box. So I'll tell you what. I'm going to change the color to red, and I'm going to type some things that I think are not the main idea. First of all, are any of these little details the whole main idea? No, they just tell us one small event that happened. And it was part of the story, yes. If we were reading this in a book, all of those words would probably be in the book. But it's not the whole story, okay? Let me give you some examples so that if you saw this in one of our unraveling passages and it asks what the main idea is, these would be some answers you could eliminate probably. Was the main idea that aliens are scary and evil? Was that the main idea? No, I mean, that's sort of an opinion, and I don't know. I didn't think that little young alien was all that scary or evil. He wasn't trying to crash this spaceship on his house, okay? No, I don't think that's the main idea. Was the main idea all about farm life? Okay, there was a farmer in the story. Okay, farms are good for the environment, and farmers help feed people. Okay? That's a true sentence, true fact about farmers. And there was a farmer and a farm in this story. But is that the main idea of the story? No. Okay? Was the main idea that aliens are actually real and trying to steal us while we are sleeping? Okay? That's a little tricky because even though it was a silly story and it was a cartoon, that is sort of what happens in our story, right? They are trying to steal, but it's just a cartoon. It's fiction. I don't really think that this is the true main idea. I'm going to change the text color to show you that this is what I think is the main idea. I'm going to put it in a big, pretty blue color so you can tell, okay? I think the main idea is that a young alien wanted to pass the test, but he was not ready. His teachers did not help him or teach him or encourage him, so he could not be successful in his test. Was that what you found in the whole movie? Does that main idea sentence fit with every part of this movie? Do all of these details, do you see how they have arrows? Do all of these details lead to this same main idea? Is this main idea the whole point of the story, the whole maybe lesson to be learned? Okay? Do you see the difference between the main idea and the small little details and events? You don't have to do anything on this today for me. This was just a teaching lesson where I'm trying to be a good instructor, not like that mean old examiner. Okay? I'm not just going to give you stuff to do and watch you fail at it. No way! I wanted to teach you how to do this first. You guys are going to get to do your own version of this soon. Okay? Way to go. Thank you.